Come on, Ian. Someone's got to be in charge.
Just pick a colour. Just pick a colour and go with that colour.
I've got colours on my glass. I've got no idea what they are.
No, starting with the light blue. Is the light blue the Hazelburn single cask, Ian?
It is, yes.
Yeah, nice one.
That seems the best place to probably start.
Okay.
Unpeated.
Blanchot.
It's a fairly high ABV though. It's about 54%, I think. So
a rather elaborate guessing game.
Jerry, there you are. That's cute.
Hello, champ.
Hello.
Hello, Paul.
How are you doing? Your tasting?
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah.
Looks good.
That was nice. Done this earlier.
Right. Stream is live.
Stream is live.
I believe it's after 8 o'clock. Ian, would you like to kick off proceedings?
well, as I say, you can. It's your whiskey at the end of the day. You can drink it in whatever order you want. But the most logical start is the Hazelburn 10 single cask, which is the lighter of the two blues. If you get confused with these two, I'm ever so sorry, but one's a long row, so you should hopefully. If there's any adults in the vicinity, they should be able to tell the difference between a long row and a Hazelburn, hopefully. Oh yeah,
Ian, do you remember that tasting they did at the Springbank Society?
Cool.
Where we tasted them all blind, and there was Hazelburn, Long Row, Springbank, and there was about 12 whiskies, and no one got hardly any of them. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
I wasn't there.
Yeah. You hit your face because you knew what would happen.
Everybody was sober and all, I guess, huh?
Well, the lovely thing about Hazelburn, even though it's triple distilled, is it's a very viscous, oily spirit. It's got a lot of body and texture, and therefore, I think it carries an awful lot of flavour as well. And I think this expression is, with it being just plain bourbon or HR bourbon, it just the spirit kind of sings, and it's a lovely, lovely, easy drinker, even at, as I say, 54%.
But Ian, wouldn't you say that every Hazelburn is an easy drinking whiskey? I haven't come across any Hazelburns that wasn't easy drinking.
It's my favourite of the three spirits, to be honest, these days. I don't know why. I think I'm going a bit soft. I just think there's more to it. I don't know. I haven't had a rough Hazelburn. The 10's really nice, really easy drinker. The CV. I wasn't a big fan of the CV, to be honest. And some of the early sort of like 2009, 2010, 2011 bottlings were a little bit rough.
The VIP?
No, the either the the 8-year-olds, the cask series. They did 3 bottlings. Yep. They're nice, but I think it's just getting better and better and better, and gets really good with age as well. It just as with most things from Campbelltown.
Certainly gets better as further along we go. Hazelburn is just getting better and better all the time. For me, I think maybe the Oloroso cask is the least favorite, but I'm going more bourbon cask.
Yeah.
Old school. So,
yeah, I mean, this is lovely, I think, and I'll go back to what Ian said. I'd love them to bottle an 18-year-old and add it to the core range, because I think you were saying about it when it's older, it's just stupendous stuff, I think, particularly in the bourbon, Ian.
Then you try the whiskey sun.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. It's lovely.
It's undisclosed though.
Isn't it?
It just says Campbelltown, doesn't it, Ronnie?
Triple distilled, or
yeah,
might give it away.
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's a wee bit dirty. Do you know what I mean? Some Hazelburns are a wee bit dirty. Some of them are very clean, but some of them I think I think we've had the discussion about, reusing Springbank or maybe even long row casks, and I quite like it when they're a little bit dirty and that just little touch of peat rather than, full blown, triple distilled Irish type whiskey. But I mean, this is lovely, but I do like them when they're is it the 13 warehouse bottle, which is just amazing, and it's got that little bit of dirty dunnage peaty in the background, which is great.
I never find, Ronnie, much of a link between the triple distilled Hazelburn and the Irish. Maybe it's me, but I just I don't see a comparison.
No, well, I think it's still got that kind of clean, kind of creamy, kind of smooth. I hate that word, but that smooth. I don't think it is. You're right. I think Irish is completely different. And what's
I mean, this is not as fruity as some of those triple distilled Irish tend to be.
It might be with Waterford. You never know, huh? Otherwise, what Irish whiskeys are you drinking, and Ronnie? Because
Irish, I don't drink that much, but like most of what I drink is pot still, to be honest. So, but I've got quite a few that I drink. So, but I'm not a huge fan, to be honest.
I do every week.
Could we quote you on the bit that says, "I don't drink much"?
Much Irish.
Yeah. It's the full sentence is very important.
I suspect it's just Cadenhead Cooley releases.
Yeah, they're amazing. Yeah, they're amazing. I think I've got one up here
somewhere. Ruth, how the devil are you?
You look scary.
Which one are we on?
You're on iPad at the moment. How come you're not on the Rassay tasting?
I've just left the Rassay tasting, so I'm
I threw you out, Ruth.
it's just the first one, Ruth. So all good.
Exactly.
What's the first one?
Light blue one.
Based on 10-year-olds, I think.
Okay, thank you. Cheers.
Speaking about Hazelburn, I don't know if you can read this.
Have your head, please. Yeah, like that. Yeah, original sauce.
Happy birthday, Ruth.
Yeah, happy birthday, Ruth.
Oh, happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Is it today, Ruth?
Yes.
Ah, nice.
We're getting quite drunk.
How old are you now, Ruth?
Oh, hey.
To ask a lady that.
I know. Well, yeah, but
Never asked someone that.
You're not that drunk, then.
Can you force people off?
22 twice. Yeah. So.
But I don't know if you can read this.
Origins.
It's from Fine Ales. And it's
I got some.
Hazelburn cask.
They got into a Hazelburn cask. Which is the first time I've ever seen a beer in any Campbelltown casks.
Yeah.
No, they've done Fine Bank. They've done Fine Bank.
Oh, have they?
Just finished it just had a Springbank cask. So I've got some of that
There's also
downstairs. There's also a Kilcarron cask as well.
Is it really?
So I
You
got
guys tried it yet?
Looks like it.
Yeah, I had it on Monday nights. It's good. It's not great.
No.
Oh, well.
Fine Ales make some decent beer, but not great beer. They're getting there. They're improving. Their wild ales are improving.
It's really nice, that is.
So if they do a core range 18-year-old Hazelburn, I think that would be. I'd love it. I'd love it to bits. I just
Have they got enough Hazelburn for that though?
Probably. Well, they do it for the long row, you see, Ronnie, and they do about as much long row as they do Hazelburn, allegedly.
Yeah.
And there's always plenty of bottles in the cage of Hazelburn as well. So
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think there's enough stock there, to be honest. It's just a matter of whether or not there would be the demand. I think there'd be the demand, but it's whether or not they want to do it.
But Ian, would you love it if it was a bourbon or Russell or anything PX or cast?
I think they should do what they do with the 18 Springbank 18 and just vary the cask types from year to year to year, depending on what they've got and what's good. I'd love it every year to be bourbon, but you'd like a little bit of difference, and sort of like a year to year to year same bourbon type probably would get a bit dull and boring after a while. So throw some sherry in, or do a special Oloroso edition, or if they've got, well, I know they've got some port casks with Hazelburn, so maybe throw some rum in, or port, whatever. Just mix it up.
Yeah, mix it up and make it more interesting.
I think though, being such a light, wonderful spirit, I think sometimes the Oloroso takes away a wee bit of the nuances of the dram itself, because I mean this is just 10-year-old and so much on both the nose and the palate. It's lovely.
I tend to agree with you, Johan. I think an Oloroso would just crush this spirit.
Aye.
Some of the
that about most Oloroso casks, to be honest.
I used to have the 13, the 14, the 15-year Oloroso, and I didn't really dig it that much anymore.
About Mr. Ogden, what do you think, Mr. Ogden?
I think it's very subtle, mate. You can definitely spirit, then you get a nice little bit of burn of the alcohol towards the end. Almost feels peated, but obviously it's not. Very nice. And I wonder if they don't do the Hazelburn 18 just simply because of maybe a price point that they couldn't otherwise meet, because you'd expect an 18 perhaps to meet with the Long Row and the Bank, and maybe they can't do it at that sort of price. I don't know.
Oh, no. Is it more expensive to triple distill?
It's got to be marginal, surely. I mean, the production cost difference has got to be marginal, I would have thought.
Yeah. I think it's the production cost. I think it's perhaps the amount of stock they have.
Yeah, it's not going as long. It's not been going as long, so they won't have that stock. You know, and they sold it at 8 years old as well, so they've obviously got, they obviously got rid of a lot of cash younger rather than, what we expect. So.
But they've been in lockdown for 3 months, Ronnie. They must have loads now. Sure.
Zero.
In the warehouse, that we do, is it like 22 2-year-old Hazelburn?
What's that, Darren?
What's the oldest Hazelburn we tried? About 22, wasn't it?
Yeah, 97 is the first year of the spirit. Yeah. So, 22, 23 will be the oldest spirit they've got.
So they can't have much 18, that's the problem. So.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
What did you guys make of the cognac cast they did a couple of years ago?
I thought that was a bit funky, actually. I didn't really like it. It just kind of felt a bit unbalanced, I thought, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked it, but I just didn't think it worked.
I thought it was a bit unbalanced. I thought in the finish it was a bit, again, I don't like you saying it, but it was really sharp. I quite enjoyed that towards the end of the bottle. So
yeah,
obviously the lighter spirit takes on the cask characteristics so well, and it did go a bit like an old French cellar kind of funky smell to it, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah. I always say it's like when you go for a piss in the pub and you come back and take a drink and some bastards put something in your drink. Do you know what I mean? It was a bit like that, you know what I mean? It was like...
I preferred Sachin's description, to be fair.
You describe what you know. If you used to hang out in piercers, then you describe that. French cellars, describe French cellars. I think the description is wrong.
The smell when the glass is empty,
you're drawing from your experiences.
I picked up a cognac cage bottle in 2017 festival, and that was actually better than the release, I think.
What did you?
That's Dave's dog. He's not going to go and have a go at Donna's dog, because Donna's dog doesn't look very big.
Yeah. How many of you have tasted the Hazelburn Open Day 2019? I'm sitting here with a fan.
Yeah.
Tasted that one. Tasting that one for the first time now and think it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Very, very.
I didn't buy it, Torben, because last year when we had the Springbank Society tasting, we were treated to 6 of their finest rams in a fantastic location with great company. And the 21-year-old that they presented to us in the Springbank Society tasting crushed that open day. It was on the next level. It was absolutely astoundingly good.
Magnificent.
And on that basis, I thought, I'm not going to buy this bottle. I'm going to wait for this, hopefully, for this one to come out. And it hasn't come out yet, so they still have that cask somewhere.
So, do you think they will wait? And is it this one, Ian? Do you think they will wait till it's older, or?
I don't know. They have old stock. They have some staggeringly good 27 and 28-year-old Springbanks there, which they probably just use as one-off tastings, as sort of like ambassadors for the distillery in terms of, look at this stuff that we've got in the cellar. So whether or not they'll use it for that, or they'll do a sort of like a special release when Hazelburn becomes 25 or something like that, I don't know. It could stand 25.
Was that the first one on the tasting? The very dark 21-year-old Hazelburn. Look at that one, Ian.
It's a bit of a blur.
But here it is, and it isn't that dark.
Not that dark.
No, it's dark, but it's not like it's an PX cask or something. What was it? It was refill sherry hogshead. So.
Ruth has it in her little book, in a little black book that she's got there.
Which tasting? Sorry.
So Springbank Society last year.
Yeah, which one? The first
Which Hazelburn was it? There was just one Hazelburn, wasn't there?
21 in sherry, really dark.
Ian, I've got it.
Hazelburn 97, fresh sherry hogshead, 21-year-old, 51.4%.
Yeah, that's
that
the one.
one.
Yeah.
That was getting, I thought it was a little bit kind of drying at the end. It was getting to the point where I thought they should be bottling it soon.
Yeah, it had quite a short finish, I think I wrote. Raisins and plums, cloves, black pepper.
I think I wrote.
I don't know, it's all really like scribbly because I was kind of like stains everywhere as well.
What's that, Alec? Is that the actual tasting sheet?
I've got a copy of that as well.
Oh,
I'm going to say, it sounds like Ruth's notes are pissed too.
They were, to be fair. They were. So, got them all here. Springbank Society, there we go.
Oh, nice. Yes. Very nice.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to another dram?
Yeah.
So, so the next dram that makes sense to me, although it might not make sense to any of you guys because you've probably got better palates than me, is probably the, I don't know whether you call it orange or ready orange. And this is a 2005 bottling of Springbank 10.
Ooh, nice.
So just one of the old buff bottles.
Yes.
I was just intrigued because Ranald said, "Oh, people go on about how good Springbank used to be back in the days in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and whatever." And he said we take for granted the stuff that's being produced today, and he thinks the stuff that's being produced now is better, if not, well, probably better than the stuff that was produced that isn't in people's collections and going on auction sites. So I just thought I'd throw this in just to see what people's thoughts and considerations might be.
Yeah, did you see his comments to the whiskey show?
I don't know, I can't remember. It might have been, yes.
Yeah. It was it was interesting in that, you know, these revered bottles from the 60s and 70s, but actually it's the best ones that you're looking at from that era. So, you know, what are the best ones from this era going to say in 20 years' time, 30 years' time?
Is it this one? Sorry.
It is. That's the one.
I've got a picture. I've actually found my picture of the society tasting. I'll share the link.
Don't you guys think, and all, when the whiskey be on bottle for X amount of years, that it, I know it's no maturing on it as it does on a cask, but sometimes when you do now and then, it's certainly an improvement. I think you can reverse 20 years or 10 years and compare, but I think just being on the bottle for a long time, it all helps.
Yeah, you get old bottle effect, don't you? It does change in the bottle over time.
Ian, I think
Really
my
different.
sample pack got lost in the post. So
Yeah, sorry about that, Bert.
Oh, this is. Oh no, Vernon, really?
yeah, South African Post Office.
I thought
held it
Clark-
back. Yeah.
One was sorting yours out, wasn't he?
I think he sorted mine out as well.
I've got a local barley to keep me going. So.
Ah, nice one. That's very good.
Very good. Well, this is very good, Ian. Like it.
Your microphone's better this time, Vernon.
Yeah, it's working now.
Disappointingly.
Having not had an old Springbank 10 before, this is very different to what I expected. Very different.
But quite spicy nose.
When do you think this was bottled, Ian?
2000. The bottle code is 20205. So 2005. It's not too long ago.
No.
If you try the 15-year-olds from the same era, it is actually so much better. It has evolved hugely from the 10-year-olds. The 10-year-old is very, very good, but the 15-year-old is top notch, and I think it can come comparing to the 70s and 60s. Maybe not the older ones, but
really?
it really can compete with the older ones. I think the 15-year-olds back in the zeros.
Heat.
That's my opinion.
I think this one, Vernon, is very close to the 9-year-old local barley you have in your flask. This reminds me a lot of a local barley name.
Okay. Cheers, Johan.
The new. So I've got a new 10 and an older 10. The new 10 to me smells a little bit younger. Seems to have more bourbon in there. I don't know. It's they do feel quite different. It's quite surprising. I'm not sure which I prefer.
They're very different. That's exactly what my takeaway is. It's almost not even comparable.
No.
They're different itches to scratch, if I can put it that way.
Yep.
Liking this a lot though. I just finished my other 10, so I've got to buy another one.
I'd also agree it tastes a lot older.
Philip,
quite musty, isn't it? It's got a kind of musty kind of.
yeah. What do you think, Mr. Pinchin?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
What do you think of the older 10?
Lovely, really lovely. It's very, 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 very different to the newer ones. Yeah, it's full-bodied.
Philip's got a wiser appearance under lockdown.
Yeah. Actually, he's climbing the wall.
Which 15 do you mean, Torben?
Big dent during the lockdown.
Didn't get that. Say it again.
The whiskey collection, the Springbank collection or whatever, the bottles, they're taking a big dent over them 3 months, which has been now. I didn't know how many empties has been going. So it's time to replenish.
Yeah.
Ronnie's drank about 3 or 4 bottles as well during lockdown.
You mean 30 or 40? Looking at that picture.
I had a few. They weren't all full, right? They weren't all.
Bullshit.
It was good to finish them off anyway. That's for sure.
Whiskies for drinking, right?
Well, I think the first couple of weeks of lockdown, I was worried my recycling men would knock on my door. A bit worried about me, but I got away with it.
Yeah, but all you had to do.
Actually, didn't you go and throw them in your neighbour's bins like everybody else?
Yeah, look at everyone else's name, and you realise that you're in good company.
Sneak them out on NHS clap night. Nobody knows.
Ian, I wonder about this one, whether it's got a greater proportion of bourbon in it than the current 10. I'm getting a lot of, on the nose, I'm getting a lot of that minty sort of thing you often get from a refilled bourbon cask.
A nice kind of like sort of pastry note to it.
I'm sorry, it's not a 10-year-old. The current one, is that not just a bourbon cask? Is that actually a mix?
It's a mix, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
Is it 70-30 or something?
I think, Johan, this might have more bourbon in it. I don't know.
I think they might throw a few things in, I think the 10, they might throw a few things in. There might be a bit of rum in there, might be a bit,
Do you think that maybe it's the same with as the 21 back in the days? They put 25, 30 years old, 35 years old, and the older 21-year-olds. Do you think maybe they did the same with some of the 10 or 15-year-olds?
I don't think so, because Stuart Robertson got sacked for it. So I don't. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that live. I think any manager currently would be pretty nervous about doing that because, I think most people know that those 18s, the purple boxes and stuff, apparently have a lot older whiskies in them. And then when they went back to say, oh, let's release a 25-year-old, they went, oh no, that all got lashed into the 18-year-old. So, they parted company and he went to Dalmore and did things.
Ronnie, they don't sack people anymore.
No, they didn't sack him. I think it was an agreement,
mutual agreement.
Agreement, yeah.
But so I think he was a bit naughty with that one. But I can't think they would do that because they, it's a bit of a thing at Springbank that they don't have that much older stock. They do have some, but they don't have loads. Do you know what I mean? It's not there to do it with. So,
do you guys think with the 10-year-old, for example, that it changed much from year to year? I mean, the batches of whatever spring always changes, but for the standard 10, that changed from
literally. I don't want to settle it on Tuesday.
A lot, or not at all.
I think it has, yeah. I think 10 has changed. I think 15 obviously changed a lot, but I think they try and keep the 10 fairly similar, but it's not, exactly the same, is it?
No, I think when the new boxes, the new livery started in the bright orange box, I've got a favourite from these. It's stamped right at the very end. The stamp is very end of 2016. So it was end of 2016, beginning of 2017, and I bought about 6 bottles of that 10-year-old because I was convinced there was something older in it or a completely different mix to what they've done otherwise. And I'm still hanging on to a couple of those. It's my favourite 10 out of anything in the last 5 or 6 years, I think.
Is that
lockdown, Dutch?
Sorry?
I'll be round after lockdown then.
Yeah. We can have one in the garden, Ed.
Of course we can, mate. Yeah, of course we can. We'll have to do that.
There was also one of the 10s that ended up was a single cask, but they didn't say anything. It's about 3 years ago. It was just to meet demand. They just released a single cask, but under the 10.
Oh, really?
Right. Didn't know that.
Bottling code.
It's one of the 3 bottles I have. But I can't remember which one.
Get the code out. We're all waiting.
Never mind.
Okay, I'll talk about the
Remembering
local
what you
barley
did
then.
over the years.
So this local barley, I think Ewan and I had a chat about it. It had the 9-year-old had quite a bit of funk when you open the bottle, and he loves that kind of style, and I wasn't too heavy into it. And I've had it open for a couple of months now, and it's starting now to remind me of the actually the 10-year local barley. It's getting a little bit sprightly now, so I'm actually quite enjoying it now.
I like the 9, but it was 2 10-year-old local barleys, and all I get them all mixed up. 1 year or
Good
2
point.
years.
Yeah.
10-year-old.
Yeah, that's
I think it was the first tenure that I had, Q, and you said all this stuff. Sorry, Q?
I said that the last release I thought was for the age statement was probably one of the better local barleys that's come out.
Yeah.
Just on this 10, it kind of reminds me of it's on its way to a 12 cast strength. It's kind of like on the journey, but it's just needs another 2, probably some finishing in sherry casks. It's like it's got that dirty smell, you know. I find the current 10 probably not. It's a lot more compared to the 12 CS. But on the nose, it's definitely got that. It's on its way.
I can agree. I got the 12 CS series, but it's the strength, I guess, which is the difference.
Yeah.
Well, the new 10 is really clean, quite refreshing. Whereas there's something about that older 10 that I don't know. I'm kind of more attracted to, because it's not. I don't think it's. Well, as I say, it's different, and I quite like the fact that it's different. U10's lovely, beautiful drinking whiskey. If I think that's more interesting to drink, if that makes sense. This is easy to drink. This is more interesting to drink.
Very honeyed. It feels a bit coastal. I don't know if anybody else got that. Hint of smoke, and it's quite fresh still, isn't it? Very fresh.
Yeah, it's lovely.
It's gone on with something else anyway. So.
It's got it's fresh, but that dirtiness still kind of brings a level of aged or kind of oldness to it. It's a kind of a weird one, actually. You get both of them at the same time.
There's a hint of fruit at the end as well, like tropical fruit coming through.
Yeah,
it's not much, but because it's only had 10 years.
Stunner of a dram. I think that 10-year-old absolutely brilliant, Ian. You just flushed it down with a 12-year-old cast strength, but that was a wee bit of a shame. It's good.
Well, the 100. If you ever get a chance to try the 100 proof version of that I think is better. Dare I say this? That's better than the 12 cast strength. The 10-year-old 100 proof is a really beautiful whiskey.
Yeah.
Highly recommended, but it's getting silly price. It's getting silly prices now. They used to. Wayne through at Blackpool used to sell it for about £55 a bottle, and it was absolute bargain. And now it's getting silly money, unfortunately. Okay. So my depleted stocks will not be increasing; they will just depreciating, unfortunately. Ronnie,
yeah,
I think it's probably appropriate now. This might be a good idea to slot in a dram that only a few of us have, unfortunately. Perhaps you could explain a little bit about it.
Yeah, we better be quick, I suppose. So,
I'm wrong.
So yeah, so it's what will be it's all about Springbank bottles.
Holy shit, Ronnie!
You can see it the right way around, yeah. Can you see it? Yeah.
It's a must.
Wow. So I only had enough, because I drank most of it, to give 6 people samples. And can you see that the right way around? Because I can't.
Yes.
Is it saying 27?
It's 27. It's 51.3%. It's been in a hoggy, and yeah. So Yeah, well, everybody will pour it and tell you, but I mean, I really like it. It's quite. I would suggest it's quite timid, and as it starts off, but it's got like a really nice nose. It's
Ronnie, what is timid?
It's not. It doesn't feel vibrant. You know, it's not like blowing your nostrils off to start with. You know, it's not.
Okay. A bit shy, a bit restrained.
Slightly
Shy.
subdued. Yeah, but it's got that kind of sort of pumice stone, kind of quite chalky, lots of barley. I don't think the cask, certainly in the nose, has got that much influence. And then it's quite dusty. It's certainly got kind of ashy notes, very waxy, and then it's got it's really fruity. So it's kind of jackfruit. I don't know if people know juicy fruit chewing gum, but it's got that kind of thing going on. And then
that sounds cool.
Great.
And then it's cool. And then in the mouth, it's quite lemony, certainly peppery. It's very oily, and again quite chalky. So it's a very nice dram. So yeah, but unfortunately I couldn't send it to everybody, obviously. So.
No, of course. But what about the aftertaste? Is it a long aftertaste? Is it long whiskey or?
Yeah, I mean it's the aftertaste is kind of stewed fruits. It's kind of like appley and quite waxy. It goes on for quite a while. Mineral. For any ex-smokers, you might get a bit of cigarette out of it, and
tobacco.
That kind of ashy, kind of, you know, raking out a fire in the morning kind of thing. Yeah, I mean,
Ronnie, it's massively cranked up from. I mean, if I'm comparing it to the 10-year-old that we just had that Ian sent along.
Yeah,
clearly it's quite a different beast from that. But in terms of mouthfeel and finish, I mean, it's dialed up an awful lot from that sort of whiskey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's had
more
it's just 27. Yeah.
So,
if you should compare it,
cask, Ronnie.
What was that?
Was it Martin Armstrong who potted with that cask, or?
Did he do what with it? Did he do what with it?
Was it Martin's whiskey broker? Was it his cask?
No is the answer. It's a bit of a story, but it was owned by it was private, and then it was then sold to somebody else, who then sold it to us, basically. So that's where it is. So, but you know, Martin's he's taken the joy of it, if you know what I mean, because he's it's his. I mean, I'm shit on this, but Kewan could probably send you the label actually, so you could have a look. So there's a whiskey broker label, and the current it's all about Springbank. Main picture is going to be the other label. So there's a front label which. In my mind, that's the front label, but it doesn't comply with the regulations. So we've got a rear label and the front label, which are both the same size. So.
Nice.
Good.
It's a beautiful design, that label that you've got.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a mate of mine who it's the same guy that did the Abbey Whiskey ones. If anybody's seen the 3 Abbey Whiskey ones that were done recently for Abbey Whiskey, and Malt reviewed it today. So he did those, and he's done. The last 2 bottles as well. The first one wasn't that great, but he certainly did the second one, and now he's done this one. So yeah, he's a great guy. He's actually a cartoonist mainly, but he's done a good job of it. So.
Yeah, well, like ex-bourbon Springbank's just one of my favorite things in the world. So all of those tasting notes just really sound great. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
What's the yield going to be on that one, Ronnie? Is it how many bottles you're getting?
What was that? Sorry.
What's the yield? Is it full?
Yeah. It's in the bottle. Yeah, and it's just waiting to get labelled basically, and then once that's done, it'll become available. Yeah.
It's about 200 bottles, isn't it, Ronnie?
Yeah, there was 200 bottles. Yeah.
200. Yeah.
A little drop of, I know this is sacrilege, but a little bit, it's a beautiful dram, absolutely glorious. A little drop of water, and sort of like an awful lot comes out, an awful lot more comes out on the nose. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
really,
I think it speeds it up a bit though, Ian. I think, you know, I mean, as soon as it came in the post, I just drank it. You know what I mean? But when I had a bit of time, I left it in a glass for about 30 minutes, and it really came to life then. You know, it definitely needed that 27 minutes for 27 years in the glass. It really opens out. But yeah, I agree. With a wee bit of water, you can bring that a little bit more quickly. But
beautiful mineral notes in there, sort of like pumice is right, actually, I think, but it's stones or wet rocks or something like that. It's absolutely really nice, lovely.
Ronnie, I poured it about 40 minutes ago, and on my first couple of sniffs, I did get a lot of the fruitiness, a bit of the tropical notes. The juicy fruits was bang on for me. I think a little bit of like juicy fruits after you've chewed it for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then a bit later on, just now, I've picked it up again, and I'm getting that little bit of on the nose as well, bit of lemon, and that's coming through more on the palate as well. For me, the lemon is then starting to come through on the palate, but that initial hit of fruits was really good. I think that's what says some of the higher notes there.
Mr. Sunderland, I'm a little bit behind here, but does this have a colour code, this one?
Unfortunately, Mr. Ogden, this only went out to about 5 people.
Yeah.
So this isn't one that you've got. I'm ever so sorry.
Yes,
basically, Ronnie got that bottle back end of last week, and he basically said, I'm going to rush out some samples to a few people. Just give me some names. So he's been very generous. He's basically sent out a few drams to a few people who he knew were going to be on here, and we just thought, personally, I just think it kind of sits just about here after that 10, because some of the other drams, I think it's just right, and I think it's beautiful. And as I say, we only needed about 10-15 minutes just to give people a preview of what's going to happen.
Well, you got me sold. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I quite wanted to hear what people thought of it as well, because when it's your kind of own baby, you know what I mean? Nobody says their own baby's ugly, do they? You know what I mean?
Not even your mum, Ronnie.
Well, I did actually think one of my boys was quite ugly when he was born, but after a little while, I forgot about that. But you know,
Mr. Dutton, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Excellent. Billy, what are your thoughts? Mr. Pinchin?
Very, very, very nice. I too tucked into it as soon as it arrived in the post. So I've got, I've probably got half left for the glass this evening. Very nice. It's got. I'm reminded of those. Was it tropical spangles and lemon sherbet? And yeah, as Ian was saying, wet gravel and caviness to begin with. Yeah, it's very, very nice indeed.
So the rest of us, next dram, I guess, is going to be the Black Label. Not Johnny Walker's 12-year-old, thankfully.
Ian, don't rush.
I like Johnny Walker.
Ian, don't rush. I'm having a moment, Jack. Please. So just to finish off the notes on this one, then over the last 10 minutes, the nose has opened up. I'm getting like those lemon drops on the nose.
Yeah.
With a bit of a fizz as well. And
Lemon sherbet.
On the it's got a surprising heat that builds as you take a sip on it.
Yeah, it's heat.
That's good. That's a decent point. That it does actually, it does actually build in the mouth a little bit. So I like that.
So kind of it catches you a little bit actually, but in a good way, and it's there's elements of hot peppers and herbs, but honey and wax and cream. There's a little bit of smoke right at the end as well. It's very, very sophisticated.
It's not a dram for cowboys, basically.
No, you're not going to slam this one. This is going to take some time. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think,
and that creamy mouthfeel stays till the finish as well. That creamy mouthfeel lasts for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stays. It's.
I think like the second IAAS was probably a little bit more robust, but this is, I think, probably just a notch above all of that. And now I'm getting a bit of on the nose. I'm getting a bit of dunnage as well. There's a lot in this whiskey.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, unfortunately, most of you don't have it. So, but you will have the opportunity. Exactly so.
What is number 3?
We'll be right there.
So the next one is the Black Label, which is one of my favourite releases from 2019. It's an official release of Springbank 24-year-old.
Oh.
Distilled in December 1944. 1944, I mean.
Holy shit.
You are spoiling us, Ian.
It could be 1944. Wasn't a very good year for the Germans, that though. Then bottled in April 2019. It's the fresh sherry hogshead. I think this is what's great about some sherry casks when they get to a certain age. The spirit and the cask get together and do amazing things. One doesn't overpower the other. It's a fresh sherry cask, but it feels like a refill sherry. It's quite restrained, but everything's there. It's just a I love this whiskey so much. It's beautiful. Sorry.
Can we get Ian a private room?
Yeah.
Just for 15 minutes, though.
About 5 will do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably.
Hey, steady on.
Really good.
No, not even 5.
I actually reviewed this on the site, so I'm just going to read it out and so that I don't say anything I shouldn't. So for nose on for me, I had linseed oil, old engines, rotten fruit. It's got a mineral pencil lead, Chablis ashes brine. It's got a farmyard funk poached pear, old granddad's leather boots apparently. In the mouth, I thought it was salty, funky. There's a ham, a kind of iodine, lime, lemon, plastic, beeswax, embers, rhubarb, more salt, Dunwich floor, charcoal, oak, and olive oil.
Is that all?
Yeah, that was all. I thought I would get it out, and that was it.
Can you repeat that? I missed it.
How many did you have before you wrote that, Ronnie?
I think I'd had a half bottle, to be honest. I also quite like this too. So.
Oh, guys, on the phone.
So, Ronnie, at what point in time have you been licking warehouse floors just out of interest?
Well, I've been pretty close. I did fancy licking the warehouse wall, to be honest, but I thought against it. But I've been pretty close to it. You know what I mean? I've been right up smelling it, so I could imagine what it will be like to lick the warehouse wall. You've all thought about licking the wall, surely.
I think I've got a picture.
Haven't we all?
Yeah.
We like to lick things, don't we, Kieran?
Ian, what was this
Is this
I
a
might just
private?
post that link, Darren, because I believe you're on the front page.
I am. I think you should
Share
put it
it.
up.
Share
Hold
it.
on.
It's currently being monitored by the National Crime Agency.
Ian, what was this bottled at?
46.2.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people questioned whether they watered it, didn't they? Remember? Get 46.2%. You think? Well,
Why would you have 0.2?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they didn't water it.
Maybe.
They didn't water it. It was just.
That's a good drama.
Ronnie?
Yeah.
Is this your writing?
Is this my writing? Oh, hold on.
Yeah, can you see that?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
That's Ian's, isn't it?
Or is
I
it
can't.
Ian's?
Springbank 25 private cask.
My writing's horrendous.
That's my writing.
That's Ian.
Yeah.
That's Ian's
Unmistakable.
I haven't emptied it yet.
What does that say, Torben?
Huh?
Which one's that?
I think it's from you because it's a Springbank
Yeah, but what's
25
it say on the label?
ATP.
It's my Springbank box.
So that's Alec Briggs's 25-year-old
Yeah.
bourbon
Yeah.
cask private
Yeah.
bottling.
Where is that old champ? Why isn't he here today? Well, I'll have this one instead of the other one.
Yeah, that's as good as the 24. To be honest, that's an amazing drum.
Yeah.
I think it was Finlay Ross found this. Is that right? Yeah. Is that the story behind this cask? Finlay Ross was nosing some casks and came across it, and that's the, as he should be, the manager right now.
This is good news.
Am I correct in understanding this has been in a fresh sherry cask since the start?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. And quoted as being fresh sherry as well. So,
Right.
but to be honest, I wouldn't trust them because they don't seem to know what the hell went in what and what was going on. So, you know, whether it was fresh or not, who knows?
Why do you think it could have been a refill?
Well, it's kind of like that, but I mean, I'm assuming it probably
is
was.
more of, to me, it seems more of a refill than fresh. Because fresh is normally smack you about the chops, whereas refill's a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, I'd agree, absolutely. But you know,
it's bloody good though.
And then 24 years of it, and it's still only that delicate.
Yeah, the first time I tried this, it's really, really nice.
It's a beautiful dram. But then obviously crazy prices now. It was, I think it was 400 quid that everybody gulped that.
Last one at Scotch Whisky Auctions for about 900 quid nearly.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't opened. I've got one of these, and I haven't opened it because for me, the I'll tell you what stole the thunder a little bit was the Cadenheads 24 that they released, ex-bourbon, which I know some people didn't like, but I absolutely love that one. That kind of, and I know they're totally different things, but it was around the same price point, I think.
Few
months apart, and I totally fell in love with that one.
A little bit left.
Because Springbank, if Cadenheads release a Springbank decide the price. So they're not, Cadenheads are not allowed to decide the price of it. So that's, so it was the same price, 400 quid.
Yeah, for me, the Cadenheads one was way better for me versus the Springbank one.
Me too. But I mean, they're both great. But no, I agree with you on that.
I think they're different animals, though, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But what I liked was the Cadenhead didn't get as good reviews early on, so the auction price actually went under.
I know.
So that was, I think flippers are great because I managed to pick that up at much less than the original price. And
I've been looking out for one, but they've crept back up again. The prices have crept back up again.
Well, that's because a few people waxed lyrical about it on It's All About Springbank.
I should have shut up then, shouldn't I?
The best thing to do is just say all Springbank shit and then press the prices.
Yeah, I don't listen to them experts. What do they know?
Simon on the last way.
Yeah, it Serge gives it a bad review and it compresses the prices.
Yeah, I think it was Angus though, wasn't it? Was it?
Serge did as well.
Does he then buy them all at auction and say, "Oh no, I've changed my mind. It's good."
Yeah.
Cunning ruse he's got going on.
Right. Prices are brutal nowadays.
Nicely balanced.
The good old days.
It's a great drama, Ian. Thank you.
The beauty of this dram is it's beautiful spending time with a full bottle. It really is. Two centilitres really doesn't do it justice.
With candlelight.
5 minutes.
You see, he got dressed up for the occasion.
Yeah.
I gotta say, it's a very easy drinker, huh? I mean, I could turn half a bottle of that in an hour or two. No bother.
Yeah.
Damn, this one is good. And it breaks.
I think most people have just poured it though. I think this one also requires a good 20, 30 minutes in the glass and leave it alone and don't touch it and then go back to it, because it's even changing now, I think, just because we've had it in the glass for 5 minutes and some of you have drank it already, but it's definitely worth a bottle because it does change rapidly, you know.
And I will be putting this glass at the side of my bed tonight.
Smell it in the morning.
Ian, turn the video off, please.
Was that after the 5 minutes?
Far too much
Date night
information.
for Ian with his shirt and tie, giving it.
Yeah, I'm comparing it with the Cadence, and I still prefer the Springbank official bottling.
Yeah, definitely.
I just struggled with the price point of it. It was just one of those, at that price point, I just found it too much.
It's really good. It's really good to have a sherry cart that isn't completely overpowered.
I think you're absolutely right, Vitol, because it was a bit of a shock when it came out. Because we've been used to reasonably priced bottlings, and then £400. I guess they had to pitch it round about the 25-year-old price, especially with it being a single cask, and that's why they pitched the Cadenheads at the same price. I don't know. I'm a bourbon freak, really. I much prefer bourbon casks. Because it has the feel of a refill sherry rather than a fresh fill sherry, I just love the balance. I think it's just beautiful. The Cadenheads 24, I think you need to spend more time with, and I think that's why people may very well enjoy that a little more, because it's not quite as immediate and accessible as that sherry cask might be. As Ronnie said, they're different beasts, completely different beasts. I love them both.
Email from
I agree with you about letting it sit in the glass. I think you need to leave it to one side for half an hour.
Q, apparently the speaker thing's stuck on me, which I noticed.
You are so beautiful. So
that's been great.
Somebody complained.
I mean, I know that, but you know.
I just think, Ian, and all the finishes just lingering.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's it.
Sorry. My apologies, everyone.
Generally makes more noise, don't you, Ronnie?
Well, that's what I thought.
You always do, Ronnie. Cheers, mate.
Whoa.
Thoughts, Mr. Carter?
26 old.
Hi, Ian, how you doing?
Now in Duncan.
Yeah, I love that one. You've shared that one with me before, haven't you? I think.
I had a few samples in my pocket last year, and I was handing them out left, right, and centre before I realised how much I'd given away.
You're a good man. I love I always get a little like cured meat flavour off it, which I think is quite is quite subtle, but separates it from a few drams.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I got. A bit of cool ham I got in my notes.
Straight away, as soon as you said it, I got it. And I think that's the beauty of being led with tasting notes.
Yeah, Ronnie, why did your granddad walk over ham in his boots, though?
I don't know. My granddad comes up quite a lot in my notes, actually.
That's lovely.
Strong sense of celery. Celery, really.
Smell of weed.
It's not me.
Do you find people just follow you around at the festival? Just seeing what's in your pockets.
That's why I follow Darren, to be fair.
That's Darren, exactly. That's Darren.
You and the National Crime Agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up a few samples at Ian and Ruth's place.
You know, you have to follow him around because he doesn't sit still.
That's true.
He's gone again.
Right, moving on. Moving on. We're moving on to a little bit more peat, I think, personally. So we'll start with a Kilkerran, which is the green bottle.
The only one on the label.
And this is a single cask Kilkerran, 15-year-old. It spent 10 years in fresh bourbon, and then they decided to stick it in a refill bourbon hogshead for some bizarre reason. And they did this with all of the single cask releases. It's kind of like reverse finishing. It's bizarre. I don't know any distillery that would do this.
No, they.
Was it intentional? Do you think they planned to do that, or?
Yeah, they planned to do it. Yeah, it's the camera. Yeah, they thought they were too vibrant. You know.
Well, that's what I mean. I think that did it get a bit too overcooked, and they wanted to calm it down.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
But they didn't plan it from the beginning, did they? They didn't think we're going to put this in.
No. Once they tasted them at 10, but they've done that with Hazelburns and a number of others before, you know. And I think it's a great trick, actually. I think it really works really well, especially when they take a sherry and then put it in a refill bourbon for sort of its last 3 years. I really think it works really quite well. It's a great wee trick because it allows the spirit to mature but stop the sherry or whatever it is getting, you know, overwhelming. And yeah, I think it's done a great job with this anyway, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I love
it. They did that to the Kilkerran, the warehouse Kilkerran.
They did.
I think they did it after 10 years, and that saved it.
Yeah, Carden Heads.
Otherwise, it would have been too big a beast.
You gonna get it?
I think you queued up at Cadenhead to get this, didn't you, Vit? End of September last year.
Was it? No, that was that then.
Yeah. Whiskey show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I did shop in London.
Yeah.
During the festival.
Yeah.
I was going to London for something else, and that was on my way.
That dude from Norwich turned up at like 4 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm getting on this.
Oh, that was insane. Someone driving for about 3 hours just to queue outside the shop in London to get that bottle.
Absolutely mad.
And then drive straight back home.
Wow. Now.
What did you say?
Hey, this has got child locks on it.
Say it.
Some water.
I just to that comment, Satch and I drove about 12 and a half hours to pick up 4 bottles between us.
In the cage?
Well, no, not from the cage. This was on our way to the Malts Festival last year. We kind of drove around and did a couple of handfills from Glendronach and a couple of handfills from Clyneleash before we drove down to Campbelltown.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought Ruth was doing the navigating then when you said you spent a 12-hour trip.
Very funny.
don't ever let navigate. Especially if you've got a ferry to catch and you've got a deadline.
Stop it, Ian. Stop it. It's a birthday.
I mean, ferries go every hour or so from Ardross. You managed to miss three. How can you miss three? You might miss one, but three, dear me.
From what I'm hearing, it sounds like we need to get Ruth to navigate and Ronnie to drive, and a reality TV crew to follow behind them.
You need to ask Torben about Ronnie's driving.
Never go with Ronnie.
You mention Ronnie's driving, and the Torben turns a different colour.
Totally.
Anybody else getting gingery kind of ginger beer notes from this?
Ginger beer notes.
Yeah, we bet I think it's got quite an acrid kind of note on the nose. Something.
Do you not think it's silly way too?
Hotels in
what country if you're not going to help me?
What do people think about Kilkerran as a whole then? What you know? Do you think
I love the 8-year-old last year is a game changer.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
The
It's
8-year-old.
one of Alan's favourite whiskies. Kilkerran. Definitely ginger here. It's odd.
Yeah.
Let's not talk up Kilkerran now because that's still affordable.
Oh yes, Kilkerran is shit.
Yeah,
everyone on YouTube, it's shit. Kilkerran's.
Yeah, it's all shit.
Yeah,
Springbank.
yeah. Don't buy it. It's really bad.
Sorry, I'll tag it on YouTube. Springbank. Don't worry, it'll be fine. I'll yeah.
Biggest mistake ever by Frank McCarthy.
Well, since our last tasting, I bought a couple of bottles of Springbank Kilkerran 12.
That's a beautiful.
You guys mentioned it, and it's really, really good. It's probably one of the best core range expressions you'll find out in the market at the moment. So, yeah.
I agree, Vernon. I think it's a fantastic value as well.
It's
for an entry-level whiskey at the price points, you get a hell of a lot of whiskey for that.
Yeah.
And they run it for 4 weeks a year or something. What are they doing? If you like Kilkerran, what would you do with it? You know, I don't understand why they don't run it all year.
They are developing the distillery. So they plan to have their own maltings there, but they're just doing it up over time. So it will expand, but they want to expand the fan base as well. They want to sort of grow it gently rather than trying to do a whole distillery in one go. They're just sort of building it up.
Yeah, I understand that ethos, but I do think it's a bit crazy, to be honest, because I think when say the 16 comes out, people are going to go fucking nuts. Do you know what I mean? It's going to explode, and I think
rubbish, Ronnie. It's rubbish.
They're going to suffer.
No one likes the Kilkerran 16. Don't be bigging it up.
The
can't wait for that. It's shit.
I think
it's shit. Don't buy it.
It's still a fan's whiskey at the moment. You can't find it everywhere. You can't find it in airports. The minute you have to do a whole distillery quickly, you have to start chucking it in airports and supermarkets, and I think that will take away from it. So I kind of like what they're doing.
Yeah, I was really annoyed they brought out the new sherried 8-year-old cask strength, because all of the sherry heads have suddenly jumped on it.
Yeah,
and years of sort of 8-year-olds that nobody noticed.
Yeah, Sean Russell and his group of sherry boys. Yeah.
By the way, the link that I put in the chat is safe for work. Trust me.
Guy, don't be listening to this nonsense. Go on, Mr. Dutton.
So the stories to this site was we went on a tasting with Vit and Darren and Copsy and a few others, and we went on a mammoth tasting on the. It was in October or November, wasn't it?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago, and they gave us free reign of the tasting room in Cadenheads. And somewhere between that starting and me waking up the next morning, I created this website and uploaded a picture of Darren. So I can't remember actually creating it, but it was done all on the shoddy internet all the way in Campbelltown as well. And that is Darren licking the cage in Campbelltown.
I think the boys though over in Campbelltown need to have a wee bit of a so to say testing lab to try to explore new ways, you know, instead of just going pumping out, you know, liter after liter after liter. So that's what I like with the Kilkerran, because they give them a wee bit of a freedom to do what they like to do.
I like the fact, Ewan, that 2 more people have uploaded their licks.
Some random people.
As an aside, should we set up a Kilkerran depreciation society?
Yeah.
Just basically drain on Kilkerran and say how bad it is to get the prices down. So.
I'm still slightly concerned about trying to click on www.iliketolickthings.co.uk.
Yeah, this is my work laptop as well, so I'm gonna.
Rick, I know for a fact your wife will not like that.
Trust me, it is safe. I've disabled the button so no one can upload dodgy pictures.
I tried looking earlier on and I got some really weird stuff. So,
what that you've licked?
I got some really weird.
So, which Campbelltown wall did you lick?
Oh, that's the cage.
That's the cage.
So, on the reopening of the Cadenheads warehouse, you must stay 2 meters apart, but do lick the wall on the way out.
What do you guys think of the Kilkerran Heavy Peat?
Terrible.
Should have been left.
It's okay. It's still young. Still needs some work, but it's getting
Not
there.
impressed at all, to be honest. I just haven't enjoyed any of them yet.
Really? We just love them. We've been through 3 bottles so far.
Who's that? Is that Ed?
Ed licking.
I'll tell you what, Photoshop. She's brilliant at Photoshop. I'm telling you, that wasn't it.
Is that Ed licking a horse?
It does look a bit like that, actually. Ruby, you said you'd never tell.
No, that picture's at the end of the URL that was posted in the window.
It's a fair shout, Alec, because young whiskey does suit peat. So I get exactly where you're coming from and loving it. So it's that rawness that you get off of a 3, 4, 5-year-old whiskey, and that peat blast is quite an intoxicating mix and combination. As some people have said, I just think it's just a bit spirity at the moment, a little bit young and a bit feisty. Has someone tried the Peat in Progress 3 in here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's that like? Is that a step change again? Is it getting like...
Once. At first impressions, I didn't think it was as good as batches 1 and 2, but you never know what my palate was like at that time. So that was just my initial impression. Donna says she liked it, but then Donna likes all the heavy peats. I mean, what we find is, as a last dram of the night, when you want a right heavy hit, it's fantastic. You just can't beat it. And but I think when that stuff is 6 to 8 years old, I think it's going to be unbelievable. It could just really scare the Isla boys.
I tend to go for the meths at the end of the night. So.
That explains a lot.
No, I like 3, but I think when you add a bit of water to it, that new makey spirit comes back. It's still, but I agree with Alec. It's going to be when that stuff's 6, 7, 8 years old. It's going to be really nice. There's no doubt about it.
I think we tried it before the batch 1 came out in the warehouse, and I said leave it another 4 years or something. I said so.
Yeah. They gave it to us at the festival, remember, and sort of said, "What do you think?" And most people were like, "I don't think so." And that was the VAT. I think that was the VAT, wasn't it? think that was a vat that we
I
had.
think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was my opinion as well. I tasted it for the first time at the Fife Whisky Festival before batch 1 was released. And I remember at the time thinking, I'm getting a lot of new make here. But then it really grew on us. And
I liked it from the start.
you just can't get enough of it.
I quite like new makes, so there's loads of new make.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Springbank don't sell new make in Kilkerran, and why not? I think that's a shame.
Next whiskey is a mystery dram, so it's in the stripy bottle.
Mystery dram.
And honestly, if this is a true mystery dram, I don't know what's in this bottle. And I bought it. So
Ian, Ian, was there a snake in the bottle?
No.
Okay.
A scorpion. And the reason I don't know what's in the bottle is because it's one of the old living cask options,
nice,
which changes constantly over time. And this has got a bit of peat in it. I don't know what it's got in it really, because they just chuck anything they want in these Campbelltown blends. It's going to be Hazelburn, Springbank, Longrow, or Kilkerran. So it's going to be same DNA. But what you don't know is what cask type it is. It's quite young whiskey, and you can tell that on the nose and on the palate. But it's one of the joys of going to Campbelltown or going to Edinburgh.
They stopped them in Edinburgh. They're not allowed to use the cask anymore, so it's terrible, because that used to be one of the joys to get Campbelltown.
Yeah, I was there in November. They didn't have it.
Yeah. They get them shipped in now, though. They ship them into Edinburgh, but they don't have actual living casks anymore. Yeah. So.
Ruth, what is that?
It could be this, but we don't know.
It's not that. I can assure you it's not that.
I'll tell you a very funny story. From the last festival, we went into the shop. I think it was day one. Myself, Cops, I think Darren was there as well, and we tasted all the living casks, and we all loved the Springbank. So I think I got a Springbank. Vernon got a Springbank, and Cop said I'd like a Springbank as well. They went to fill the bottle, and there wasn't enough in, so they just warped up and poured like 9 bottles of whiskey into the top, and Ben Copps's face just dropped all the way to the floor. He's like, "It's not the same whiskey." It's
lovely. I've seen it in Edinburgh when they feed the cask, and I'd be like, "Can I have a wee go at that?" No. It's all gone into the cask.
Yeah.
I've been there, and they've stuck a 21 in there before.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2017, they brought this big plastic bucket and lashed it in, and the guy said that's 21-year-old that's in there. Yeah. So I think Torben bought some, actually. Yeah, Torben.
Which one are you talking about right now? I'm just sitting
Remember the first time we went to the festival together, and the living cask? I'm sure you bought one.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, I bought one, but it's long gone.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So what do we think's in the glass?
Well, you guys have something.
Springbank,
actually don't know what you're drinking, so I've got a Longrow Red.
Which one? 11-year-old Shiraz? No, not Shiraz. It'll be
the Pinot Noir.
Pinot.
Yeah.
To your question, Ian, I got Oloroso sherry on the palate.
Yeah, me too.
I think there's a little bit of I don't know. There's a little bit of red fruit in there that suggests there could be a little bit of port as well. I've no idea. That's the beauty. It's a complete mystery, and one of the joys of going to these shops. People pile in at the cage, but if you try the living casks, and if you find a living cask that you think, blimey, that's absolutely cracking, you should be filling your boots with those rather than
especially
finding...
for 49 quid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 40, 47, 48 quid, something like that. Absolute bargain. Love them to bits.
Especially when you don't know the cage exists, Ian.
Well, yeah.
This
2
is,
years.
I completely agree with you because this is the art of blending.
I can't believe it. I slapped all the way up to Campbelltown for 2 festivals on the bounce without knowing the cage existed. I brought quite a lot of bottles of this back, to be honest. Mainly Springbank, PBS, and Long Run Hazelburn, and beautiful stuff it is too.
The cage has been moved.
Probably
the cage isn't through the back anymore. It's to the left as soon as you go in the door.
Is it now?
Yeah, they've shifted it.
I'll tell you a funny story. One of my managers had to go down to look at. There's an airport down in Campbelltown, and he went down to go and look at a job. And he was on his way, and I phoned him. I said, "Where are you away?" And he says, "On my way down to Campbelltown to look at a job." And I said, "That's brilliant." I said, "I'll send you a postcode and an address. Go there, and you phone me before you get to before you go into the shop." And he said, "Oh, where am I going?" I said, "Just go to the place, and I'll phone you." So he phoned me, and I said, "Right, you need to go into this shop, and you need to say, 'Take me to the cage,' right? Go to the cage, take a photo, and then come out the shop and send it to me." He was like, "Oh, fuck this. What do you mean a cage? I'm not fucking having this." Honestly, it sounds so strange, but just do it. You know what I mean? So anyway, he goes down. So he goes down and does it, but yeah. So he was quite freaked out about exactly what he was going to. He's like, "I'm not going in any fucking cage."
But what he thought it was something like Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
As he was doing this, the folk in the Cadenhead shop were like, because they obviously realised he didn't know what he was doing and why he was there, and they were like, "Are you doing this for a friend?" And they were like, "Aye, my boss Ronnie Grant's on the," and they were like, "Oh, fucking Ronnie Grant!"
You're bad.
Oh no, it's fucking Ronnie.
I'm getting up with 2 8-year-olds or something.
Just piss in a bottle and send it over.
To save it for the end of the night.
Yeah.
Did you end up with piss or did you get a bowl?
I didn't hear that.
No.
He didn't want to hear it. Ruth's getting a bit leery. Don't listen to her. This is her second tasting of the night.
Ian?
I don't think she's had enough yet.
No, definitely not.
Sunderland. Sibling rivalry. It's not good.
Sibling
rivalry.
Oh no.
This drag.
Ruth will get it.
I've seen this one. I don't know if you can see it.
Don't want to see it.
That's not what we need to see.
We can just see a table.
What are you trying to show us?
Oh, there's a tasting lined up.
It looks
okay.
below the table, and I don't think we should be looking below the table.
Oh, where's Ross?
Yeah.
My thought exactly.
I'm a little bit drunk. I say, I've been doing quite a lot. So, yeah.
It looks like they clicked on that link and they're looking at that website.
Does this dram remind anyone of the sherry cask, the Longrow Sherry 14? I'm getting some of those sulphury notes. I know I'm coming back to the whiskey.
There's a hint of that sulphur.
Yeah.
And there's definitely peat in it as well.
Yeah.
Peat goes a long way though, because I have a Springbank living bottle. I put a bit of Longrow in it, and it's peaty fuck, and I can't get rid of it. As much Springbank and Hazelburn as I put in, still got peat. You cannot get rid of peat. Do you know what I mean? It's just mental.
Yeah. Is that Ronnie's living cask?
Yeah. So I'm going to do another one, but it'll only be Springbank, definitely.
Did anyone see the Springbank 19-year-old Vit's got a couple of these bottles that went on SWA. It was 400 odd. This this auction, Vid.
How much we paid? It was about 90, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, it was 80 quid.
yeah, something like that.
80 quid.
19s?
It was just before everything started going nuts. It was basically the last time where you could go to the festival and easily get tickets, and kind of, and also you had closed distilleries in the Cadenhead warehouse tastings, and then after that it kind of all changed.
Yes.
Oh, what was that then? I was laughing at them.
I just stuck on this.
Very good, this.
Torben's apparently left. Torben's away for more shagging. The boy is the beast.
He's only just got married, you know. So.
I know. He'll be in the garden giving it loudly, you know.
Was anybody else at the Douglas Lang tasting last night at the London Whisky Club?
I heard it was a bit leery.
Oh, Fred Lang, what an absolute character.
Was there any Springbank?
No, there was a juror actually that was quite good for a change.
Really?
He told some incredible stories. If you ever get a chance to listen to Fred Lang, he's an absolute quality guy to listen to.
He is.
Cara was on there, and he didn't realise, and he started talking about how him and his dad were, when he was 17, were in Brazil walking along the beach in their swimming trunks. And he saw these dusky women walking along, long-legged women wearing bikinis and miniskirts, and he was quite taken by it. And they came up and started going along, and he said, we wondered what he was going to say, and he said, "Oh, don't get an erection. Don't get an erection." And he looked down, and the girls had got an erection. So you should have seen the look. You should have seen Cara's face. She was, "Oh my God, Dad, what have you
done?" Cara, Fred's daughter. She's quite nice, huh?
Yeah, she's lovely. Yeah. What was the other? He had a kind of trip on when he was 18 to Ecuador, and he said there's two things that stuck out on that trip. He said he was having a meal and a crater of a volcano. It was quite a nice setting with the importer, and the importer just died in the middle of the lunch. He had a heart attack. He said that kind of put a bit of spoiler on the night. and then they'd gone back to the hotel, and some people tried to get into their hotel room in the middle of the night, and he said he grabbed the nearest thing he could get, which is a glass of water by the side of the bed, threw it at the first guy he could get, hit him smack on the forehead, and there was blood and glass everywhere, and the guys ran off. Dad woke up in the bed next to him, and they kind of got out to try and see what happened. There was glass everywhere, and he said, his dad said, "You idiot, that's my denture glass." He shattered his top set of dentures and had to use Evo stick to glue them together. And on the tasting, all he could taste was Evo stick for.
Oh, no.
Absolute genius tasting.
So are you finding you going to fewer tastings, Darren, or more during lockdown?
It's 5 days a week, mate.
so just one extra a week for you then.
Yeah.
Certainly feels like it, doesn't it?
If anybody's interested, the Rassay Virgin Chinkapin Oak, definitely.
That's good. Yeah.
Definitely want to look out for Chinkapin Oak and the peated.
Yeah.
Really, yeah, it's showing a lot of promise. As an aside.
I find it sort of different in the different oak, Ruth.
Sorry.
How do you find it sort of in the different oak? Sort of.
It's a lot heavier on the sort of sweetness. It almost feels like there's less vanilla. It almost feels like it could be slightly sherried, but it, obviously it's not. And it's just got, even the unpeated one was really, it's only been 25 months in cask, and it's really kind of taken. There's a lot of cask influence. But the peated one it's just like a jig or an Octomore. It's I think it's going to be one to watch. At the complete side, sorry. Still on the West Coast, though.
Which one was that, Ruth?
Sorry?
Which one was that?
The Rassay Distillery. And it's the Virgin Chinkapin Oak Peated. But these are all going to go. There's six varietals, and they're all going to go into a blend. But I think people were hinting that the single cask ones, that because they made the single cask releases, and people were going, yeah, that one. So watch this space. So, but yeah, they're quite young at the moment. So.
Are we moving along to the next dram?
We can do. So it's dark blue or blue, the one that's still got whiskey in.
That will give it away.
You can work that one out, mate. Yeah.
There's a pointer.
And guys, while you're sipping that, I am having a Springbank 14-year-old, very nice one from the Warehouse Tasting 2019 Cadenheads. It's a very nice one. Look at this one.
Cherry one.
Very nice.
Lovely.
One of my most favourite drams I've had.
Yeah,
I've got a little story about that one actually, because at the festival last year, obviously we went to the tasting, we bought a bottle, I bought a bottle, and later on the afternoon I was pissed at the fart and bumped into Mott. We're having a bit of a chat, and then we got onto football somehow, and we made, and I can't even remember what the bet was, but we made a bet about football. And every time we saw each other, we started off at like 10 quid or something, friendly. Every time we saw each other in the day, we just got more and more leery, and it doubled and it doubled and it doubled. So we were on a couple of £100 in the end. And then lucky for me, I won. So I just get a message from him out the blue, and I'd forgotten about it because I was, pretty merry, and I've forgotten about it. And I get a message out the blue. Do you want your winnings in cash or whiskey? Like, yeah, well, take the whiskey, my friend.
Easy one.
So those couple of bottles turned up in the post, and that was one of them.
Oh, lovely.
Ooh, nice one.
Very nice.
Yes.
It didn't cost him anything.
Yeah.
No, he paid for them. He paid for them.
I didn't have to pay auction prices.
And then he got the sack.
Is that why he got the sack? Yes. We want to know, Sachin.
Was it November? I bet it was November.
That cask I can see behind you.
Yeah. Whole cask.
Well, cheers, mates.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I've seen that bottle selling for 350 in the auction.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the 6 now, Ian?
This is a Long Row Cadenheads port cask. So it was winter 2019. So probably, would it be the last release?
Mark left just before this release.
So distilled in 2007, bottled in winter 2019.
Yeah.
It's stated age is 11, could be 12, who knows. Refill port pipe for full maturation. 708 bottles. I don't know. That sounds like 2 casks to me, rather than. I know you can get a lot in a port pipe. What is it, 500 litres? But 8 bottles cask strength, I'm not sure.
And bigger.
I think you can get about 600 to 700 litres. There was There was some in the warehouse that they said that they'd filled that were over 700, 720, I think, went up.
Oh.
If I remember correctly from the tastings.
Yeah, you're right.
Those bottles, they only do single cast, don't they? In the tall Cadenhead ones. So they don't do any small batch thing, do they?
It was an authentic, yeah.
The bottle's not very helpful. It just says
single cask.
But authentic, I thought was only single cask.
Yeah.
Well, it just says matured in oak. So really, really helpful, really informative. Love it, don't you?
Does it say whiskey on it?
Single malt Scotch whiskey from Campbelltown, apparently.
Well, that's another clue in there.
Yeah.
What year was it, Ian?
Beg your pardon?
What year was it, mate?
2007.
2019.
No,
bottle.
distilled in 2007,
2007, yeah.
bottled in 2019. Stated 11.
708 bottles. That'll be a full port pipe. That'll be 708 bottles. Yeah, so that's like.
Yeah. I don't know about everybody else, but I've got about 5 weeks holiday gathered up for next year already. So I'm going to probably get to the festival about a week early next year. So.
Are you just going to go now, Darren, just to wait in line?
Yeah. Queue early.
You might beat the Dutch, but we're not sure.
Yeah.
They'll be parked outside.
Might be social distancing. That line's going to go all the way back to Glasgow, isn't it?
I assume the accommodation's all booked out by now.
Quite possibly.
Well, maybe not. Maybe not.
Who knows? I thought we'd be still stuck in
It bloody is. Our accommodation for this year, I was trying to rebook it for next year. It's already been let out.
Oh no!
And we paid for this year, and said, "Oh, we'll just roll it forward to 2021." Oh no, so it's already gone. So I think it's quite. I don't know. Accommodation might be quite difficult next year, Vernon.
Airbnb only opened up the booking for next year's festival time at the start of the month. So it might be worth looking.
Ian, have you?
If you spoke to some of the vendors, they would open up their calendars. I got an Airbnb booking last month.
Yeah, search at Christmas time and you'll get all the Airbnbs coming up, and then just contact them, and then you'll get someone. That's the way we do it.
Have the dates changed? Is it a week later next year?
During the festival, that's a wee bit surprising.
To something, and the week before.
What's that, Yogi?
Do you actually sleep over in Campbelltown? Last time I went 2012, I didn't even have a booking. It always works out in Campbelltown, doesn't it?
Somehow, yeah.
Stand up.
What are the dates? Have the dates moved back a week for next year?
24th to the 29th next year.
Yeah,
29th.
I saw that somewhere.
If you talk to Airbnb, message them, because I've already booked. So
and Ruth has got a couch if someone's desperate for some accommodation.
Ruth, I'm there.
But she's not very good first thing in the morning, so
that's fine. Nor am I.
Cup of tea and a bacon sandwich at about 9 o'clock. Some sort of grunting sound will come from a bedroom, I believe.
Yeah,
was that too much information?
There was too much information.
I'll have a flat to rent when it's been renovated as well for the festival, so it won't be on for a few months yet.
How many bedrooms, Donna?
It's just one bedroom, but it's done so it's got like a kitchen dining area with a sofa bed.
It'll sleep
You need permission for advertising on this.
We'll be in touch, Donna.
Is there a discount?
You know that there's always stuff coming up, even last minute. People are still renovating stuff.
Yeah, indeed.
So you're lucky, even weeks before stuff comes up all the time.
Is it? Is that IAAS 50% off discount? It's still valid.
How good is this port, by the way? This is absolutely stellar.
It's got a big grape mouth, right?
Sweet pea.
Fantastic.
Think of this, darling. Smell that.
Smell that one.
THO.
What are you getting on the pot then, guys?
Yes. 11-year-old. Good night, darling. Love you.
Black cunt. I'm getting black cunt.
Black what?
That comes
Black
out
cunt.
so bad.
I thought you said something else.
Ramble.
Currant.
Currants. Okay.
That was timely.
It sounded awfully like something else. Holy shit.
You're too sensitive, Torben.
I know. Sorry.
Is that you back, Torben?
Zoom
What?
to the dark
You went
place.
away
there
for a while
moment.
there.
I used to save Ronnie at these Campbelltown festivals, carrying him home. So yes, I am a bit sensitive.
You can't put up with that sort of talk, Ronnie. You can't.
No, I don't. I don't.
I just love him.
You never carried me home. You went home early. I was still dancing.
I laid you on the grass. You were on the field, and I went. Well, you can stay there. I go down for dinner. With Ed, and then I got worried, and I had, oh shit, I have to go back.
I remember you being very worried, Torben.
And he got some of my pills for my back. Can you remember it? Because he
It's
was
all
hurting.
right. The Polish sorted me out. It was fine.
You got some of my morphine, and you were all gone. Holy shit, that was funny. Oh yeah.
So in the normal tasting, Ian, I think this is my best, my favorite whiskey of the night.
Yeah, it's just superb. I agree.
It's great. It's great.
Are you guys done with this tasting now? Because I mean, another quick here in 12. So yeah, cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Vernon.
And cheers, Ian, for sorting it out.
Yeah, thank you very
I
much.
have to
Ian.
say, I'm very
really
much
good.
looking forward to the IAAS cask. So
Yeah, I can't wait for that 27, Ronnie.
So
Really.
that's next on the agenda in terms of Ronnie just being the guy that he is. Thankfully, he's disappeared off cam. He's so generous in terms of he'll actually buy casks and make them available to the group, and not outrageous price, which is fabulous and wonderful, because there's very few of us that be able to do that. He's come back, so I'll change the subject. The plan is probably to do some different tastings of Springbank or Campbelltown whiskies going forwards. I have far too many bottles to drink myself, and therefore I quite enjoy opening them and sharing them. I would normally share them with friends, but unfortunately, all I can do is share them with you lot.
You can't share them with friends, share them with your enemies.
well, I hope you can send them to South Africa soon, Ian.
We've covered this off, Ian, before. It's the filling the little bottles you like, not the whiskey.
Nice. No, you see, you have these great ideas, Vic, and you think, oh, I'm going to, crack all these bottles, and then reality strikes.
Yeah.
And it's a pig. It's an absolute pig. I don't know why I subject myself to it, but I kind of do from time to time. Basically because I want people to be able to taste different drams that, unfortunately, most of you lot will be able to. Well, I've probably tried some of these. No disrespect, but it'd be nice to offer other people opportunities as well that, for instance, are a little bit further afield. So we're really lucky in the UK, mostly, that we get access to these fabulous whiskies.
Yes, you are.
But as I say, it's just one of those
Agreed.
things. Vern, the whiskies have been sublime. You wouldn't believe they've been so good. Torben,
That'd be superb, Vernon. Absolutely brilliant, mate.
I'm so sorry, you're.
You are a bastard.
They have Vernon. They've been so good, mate. Honestly.
You son of a.
Well, I picked up a nice private cask Springbank the last week, so yeah.
Yeah, right.
I stopped teasing Vernon. He's only just hit his microphone.
Good for you, Vern. Good for you.
It's okay though, Vernon. Your football team's about to make history, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second team beginning with an L to win the Premier League. Well done. Well done. Congratulations. And you, Sachin.
And me.
That reminds me, that's what the bet was about with Mark. It was about Liverpool winning the Champions League, by the way, which I believe only one of the two teams beginning with L.
Yeah, but what I would say to you, Sachin, is that when you previously won the Champions League, right, during the Premier League era, you've been frauds because you weren't champions. Okay, you never have qualified. Now that's unarguable logic, mate. Unarguable.
That's terrible, terrible, Ed. I'd expect better of you.
Ed,
What was the bet?
Well,
I don't know why. I don't know why.
Ed,
You obviously don't know me very well, Sachin.
Ed, we're going to slow you down at the weekend anyway.
Are you a Watford fan?
Palace, I think.
I love Watford, I have to say.
Ed, we're going to slow you down at the weekend.
Yeah, I love Watford, mate. Love Nigel. Love Deanie. Good luck.
Yeah, right.
Hope you stay up.
Was the bet with Mark that Liverpool would win the Champions League before Aberdeen?
I
That would have been quite a safe bet.
I can't remember what it was. It was that was my end of it. I can't remember what his end of it was. But out of curiosity, Vern, what are the whiskey releases like in South Africa? Do you get them pretty much the same time, or a few weeks after we get them, or is it months? Or
It's about 4 months after 4 to 5 months after release on your side. But with COVID-19, we still
That's cold, Torben. That's cold, man.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll make sure I give tasting notes of live detail.
So I'll give you an example. The local South African distributor of Kilkerran and Springbank and the likes, we wanted to buy the latest sherry edition of the Kilkerran cask strength. And so he sent us 12 bottles of the previous edition, which had the bourbon barrel. So we told him to fucking keep it, and we'll wait for the new stuff to come. Because we've been watching your reviews and you guys talking about the Kilkerran sherry cask strength. We just don't have it here yet. So we're waiting for it.
It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
The bourbon 8-year-old.
So I've got 4 bottles with my name on it. So yeah.
No, it's rubbish.
So sorry for the rest of you. Yeah.
Well, if you like sherry whiskey, get 4 more.
Ian's holding up there with a bastard.
Yeah, I can see.
It's awful and way overpriced.
Thanks, guy. Yeah.
You won't like it.
It's all right, Vernon. I mean, it's a bit.
Well, look, Ian. I mean, I did a good deal with you in Cameltown. I mean, we had quite a good swap there. I got a what is it, a Glendronach 4-year-old out of it. So I was quite chuffed with that little trade we did.
Is there still a total alcohol ban in South Africa, Vernon?
No, Ed, we kind of lifted lockdown on alcohol sort of sales on the 1st of June.
Okay.
Look, for the whiskey community in SA, I think we're okay. I probably got about 10 years worth of stock. You guys probably have the beer was the problem, so I'm glad I get my crafties coming in now. So
good news, mate. Good news.
Yeah. Beers was a problem. So yeah.
Ian, thanks for these samples, and I know it was effort on your part. Thank you very much for sourcing it. 'Cause I think I mentioned to you I was thinking about doing something similar with another brand, but my lazy ass never got round to it.
Try to pass the button there. It's not working.
Do it.
Well, I might still do it. I am at home, not fully back at work yet, so I do have some time. I will. I'll have a look, and if there's enough people interested, I'll going as well.
Absolutely. What brand were you thinking?
I don't know if I can say it on here, or I might burst into flames.
Glendronach.
Is it Jura?
Glendronach.
Oh, okay.
Glendronach.
Yeah, have you heard of them?
Glendronach.
Some shoddy outfit in the near.
Ian's a big fan, actually.
We don't like any brands beginning with Glen here.
Yeah. Even the
your
camel.
bourbon cask, Sachin.
Sorry?
Is it going to be all bourbon casks?
Yeah, all 15 of them are bourbon casks. Yeah.
Forward to that.
Just, I dedicated the last 2 years just for you to make sure that they all were.
Oh, mate, I knew it'd be worth it. Thank you.
14 sherry and 1 port.
Right, everybody, what was your dram of the night then? Out of them all, what was you have a bottle of?
Your one, Ronnie.
Yeah, hands
Yeah,
up.
that's great.
Yeah.
Me too, and I've not even tried it.
That's not allowed to be voted on. That's like
It's not allowed to be voted on.
it's not. It's just
Next one for me was the Springbank 24, closely followed by the Long Row Port.
Yeah, the Long Row Port for me.
Long Row Port was very good.
Yeah.
If I hadn't had the Long Row Port before, maybe it would have got there. But that 24 Springbank was quite quite a moment. But the life-changing moment today, as much as 24 was my best dram, the life-changing moment today was for me that 10-year-old.
Life-changing, bro.
Life-changing.
Yeah, Ricky.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
You need to get out more, Rick.
We need to speak.
Oh wait,
we need to speak.
Well, this is quite emotional. Let's listen to
You
Rick.
need to drink more
I
whiskey.
don't really look.
PS5.
Sister-in-law to brother-in-law. Let's chat.
Kieran, you need to delete this.
yeah. Don't worry. I'll edit the highlights. So
I think you need to.
He's trying to pour his heart out here, guys.
I don't want him to get in trouble. He's a lovely lad.
No, it's okay.
Springbank was so
I'm
shit.
here. I'm here to get him in trouble.
No, he's a lovely lad. You leave him alone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. At least somebody's listening to that. So much for family.
Yeah.
Look, based on the tasting notes, I think the 27-year-old IAAS, I'm super looking forward to that.
Then likes the Springbank 15 Rumwood.
Yeah, cheers.
The winner on the night.
That's it.
The dram of the night is Ronnie's.
Dram of the year 2020. That's it.
Yeah. I tell you what, that long row
house in the colours of the label as well.
If only I'd have tasted it, Ian, I could tell you.
Oh.
Oh.
There's hardly any sherry there. Guy.
Yeah, step on your Glen, Johnny.
It's not all about sherry.
I'm going to start a Facebook page up. It's not all about.
It's not all about sherry.
It's moment in time. That's all that people think about in terms of buying bottles.
Hang on a minute.
I love it. I love it.
How many of you have had the Springbank 14-year-old Bourbonwood?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I finished the bottle of that about a year and a half ago, and I thought that was really great. Yeah.
This Cadenhead's 24 is really opening up now. It's been open for about half an hour. It's fantastic.
Awesome.
Well, guys, here
Vernon, I'll send you some.
Guys, I'm going to call the quits today. Thank you very much for
shagging.
Take care, guys, and see you all later. It's late here in Denmark.
Round 2 for Torben.
See you later.
Cheers, Torben.
Cheers, Torben.
He'll be shagging for Scotland. Jeez.
He'll be shagging for Scotland. I love it, Ronnie.
Go shagging. I'm not sure Scotland's at the top of the list.
Oh, aye, we do plenty shagging up here. Like, there's nothing else to do. You know what I mean?
I really like
have your big cinemas and all
I'm not
that.
sure, Nicola. I don't know. If Nicola said that shagging's in stage 3 or stage 4.
No. You can't mention shagging and Nicola in the same sentence, Ian. You can't.
Shagging's back on. Yeah.
Jimmy Clanky. That's what she's known as. Jimmy Clanky.
What's your various stages at the moment? How does it work?
Yeah, but Scotland, you're allowed to go back to a bit of shagging, so that's on.
Stage number 2.
They've opened the doors up for it, so not that people have not been doing it anyway. Let's face it.
I know. Yeah.
It was allowed along with golf and sunbathing.
Yeah,
And
golf
fishing.
and sunbathing. Yeah,
I think
golf,
it's part of that
sunbathing, and
package.
shagging. That's the.
And going to B&Q.
And fishing.
obviously. National Park.
Maybe boom in January, February time, Vernon.
Look,
So-
Ronnie,
Because
the
in South
football
Africa-
hasn't started again, has it?
What's that?
The football hasn't started again, has it?
No, it's not going to start. It's not going to start. They're
You
gonna
never could play it though, really, could you? To be fair.
No,
Well,
no,
we're
exactly.
4 weeks behind you, Ed. So we'll only get football in the next month. So I think we'll see Leicester winning in probably 2 months' time. Okay.
You read my lips.
As a golfer, we're allowed a 3-boulder now, which is not bad.
Oh dear.
The thing is, in Scotland, McDonald's is open, so like 80% of the population are happy because McDonald's is open.
Wow.
I was about to say that's life back to normal, isn't it?
You think that all
Pretty much back to normal. The queues are like a fucking hour, but you know everybody's up for it. You know, pardon me.
I get the impression,
It's the new cake.
Ollie.
I get the impression though, Ronnie, that the Scots government have actually handled the whole coronavirus crisis pretty well.
Yeah, we've been a bit later. We've been a bit later than down south, so we've been,
Hello, little boy.
Well.
How you
The
doing?
problem is we're going to be back to work later. We're going to be, it's going to take time. So,
So can you get a
more of
burger
a
and a
problem.
COVID test at the same time, Ronnie, or how does that work?
What's that?
Can you get a burger and a COVID test at the same time?
Well, actually, you know something. The other day we were in the garden and I heard the ice cream van and I was like, oh my God. And I thought, a COVID cone, I'm going for it. Do you know what I mean? Is the ice cream man going to give a shit about COVID? You know what I mean? How do you grab an ice cream cone? But of course, our ice cream man doesn't just sell ice cream. But anyway.
A couple of wraps of coke.
The ice cream man doesn't sell ice cream.
No, in Scotland, ice cream men don't just sell ice cream normally. They sell other bits and bobs, you know.
Ice cream man.
For adults, right?
I'm confused.
Ronnie, you mean flakes, don't you? You mean like flakes?
Oh, yeah, flakes. Like, yeah,
flakes, yeah.
Definitely flakes.
Yeah, like,
And raspberry sauce.
Thousands, hundreds of thousands.
A bit posh.
Let's see that crack pipe of yours.
Why don't
I
you
didn't
put
go to the
that
ice
in the
cream
window?
man.
Why
I
don't you
didn't
put
want
the
a
ice
COVID.
cream man in the window?
Ronnie was actually chasing an ambulance thinking it was an ice cream van.
That's possible.
Bit of hallucinating.
Yeah.
Oh dear. If you sell whiskey samples, that's fantastic.
One more.
Oh. Well, I'm just eating birthday cake, so cheers.
Happy birthday, Ruth.
Happy birthday, Ruth.
Happy birthday, Ruth.
Cheers, Ruth.
Nice, Ruth. Sponge cake.
You're going to have to put a lock on the whiskey room, Ronnie, in a few years' time.
Yeah, whiskey man. Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. Yeah, he likes his whiskey. Although the thing is, they own about 3,000 litres of whiskey, so he better like it. Because they had all this money lying in. They had all this money lying in the bank, and I was like, it's doing nothing. So I just bought them loads of casks, and now they've got loads of casks. So yeah.
There's time. There's time.
That's happening to our kids as well.
Yep.
In 12 years, they'll be quite happy. You know.
Nice
One
day.
way or another. Although I might be quite disturbed if they all become alcoholics, but anyway, that's just the way it goes.
No, I think you'll be more disturbed if they become teetotals.
Yeah.
Then there's a problem.
Okay, guys. So, what's in everyone's glasses now that we've done with this?
We have now. We have a Hazelburn.
I've got a Bowmore 15, the Cadden Heads one. Very nice.
At the moment, we have this, at the moment.
Vernon.
Hazelburn
Oh,
12.
look at that.
The next
It's a Hazelburn.
lineup is this.
Oh,
Ooh.
very nice.
Oh,
So,
Not
think
as
if we-
breaking out the car.
Story last
Thereafter,
I like that.
that's this one.
Nice. Nice.
Ooh.
That Ben Rinnes.
Oh, Daft Milk.
oh.
Ben Rennes, yeah, Ben Rennes 23. Thank you.
I've got a Kilkerran 12. So yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, me too, Vernon.
I saw
Okay,
Ian
that is it.
Octomore flying around there as well.
Berlikin, 15-year-old or
There's a Daft Mill.
Nice.
I see a Daft Mill.
Is it a Balakin, Duncan?
Yeah, I've just finished it.
Ian, no, who's this? This is
Oh, Guy.
Guy. The Daft Mill on the go.
I've just finished that.
Daft Mill.
Is that an 07, Guy?
Sorry,
Yeah, 7, yeah.
Can I
just-
Are you really going to drink that?
Oh, you're not supposed to drink it, you know.
Bruce, I think you should pour a glass of that
Finished it.
and down in one.
What did you pop this on from Ian?
And see what the
Holy
see what
shit,
happens.
Ronnie.
Is that an old local barley, Ronnie?
It is an old local barley.
Are you
He's just
cracking that
picking up
open
stuff from the shelves that he likes. So.
Ah, right. I thought you were cracking it open tonight as a special night.
Well, we might do it as a split between everybody if you want.
Lovely. I'll even get my Ponzi glass out to match you again.
But I've got the Ponzi.
I won't do the Ponzi glass. I'll do the normal glass.
I like my Ponzi glass.
So do I. Yeah.
I love it.
Sorry, a local barley. I've got my glass here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
If you want to do a split, we could do a tasting like this, but do it fancy. But it's not going to be cheap, is it? You know.
Ronnie, if you've got a spare glass like that, I wouldn't mind one sent to South Africa.
You can whiskey exchange.
That's the same with my tenner.
Yeah. If you ever order from Whiskey Exchange, they've got these.
Oh, did they? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we nicked ours from the old and rare
No,
show.
we didn't nick
Yeah,
them.
we did.
Someone.
Actually, you nicked them.
No.
Singular, plural,
Of course,
same.
we'll not mention his name,
Yeah.
but someone kind of went in, got 4 and walked out, and that was it.
Yeah, it kind of happens.
Yeah,
I'm having afternoon tea now.
Ruth steals Springbank
Oh,
steak.
Jared and his.
I like a
optimal
bit of that,
class.
Ruth.
Cheers, Jared.
Yes.
Yes. Your friend got me afternoon tea.
Yep.
I don't steal anything. Lies.
Just staves. Staves from Springbank's yard.
Go and show me.
Me and you, Ruth, you permanently borrow.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, that's like a few quid. He's taking this off the shelf. That's not getting drunk tonight.
Yeah, let's open that tonight, Daddy.
Yeah, let's go.
He wants to share that with all his
Everyone on the call getting some.
Yeah, Ronnie, don't be so tight, Ronnie.
Down in one.
Come on, Ronnie. Come on, Ronnie. Do it.
Group tasting.
Do it.
Come on, then, Ronnie.
So our second tasting is going to be a Cadenhead Springbank from 1969.
Local barley.
It's going to be a local barley 1966 cask.
Yes.
Can someone zoom in on Ronnie's back shelf, and I'll tell you what else is.
Okay.
Well, to be honest, I'd be quite happy to open it and split it. I'd be quite happy to open and split it.
That'd be the only opportunity I'd ever get.
I think we're on, Ronnie. I think we're on.
Ronnie,
Definitely. Right. Well, we'll do it. We'll do it.
But you're going to package it better than that last one you sent me. Like, I'll tell you what.
Well, you'll not be wanting any.
They got to me.
Honestly.
Did you get this as well?
Yeah. Well, I think half of my tube was covered in bubble wrap, and it was in a scrunched up envelope that I nearly stepped on.
Yep.
But honestly, how it got to me unscathed, no idea.
They're quite strong, though. They're quite strong.
Apparently.
What was in it originally, Ronnie?
His mum.
There was Dramful.
Ah, right.
Really?
Okay.
You said your mum uses these at the hospital.
Yeah, she's not an arsey.
Ian, is that something you're taking to the doctors in the morning?
When it arrived, I thought
you were a not well man.
And then I sniffed it. I thought, oh, okay, I'll give this a go. As you do.
Let's just hope Ronnie didn't get his mixed up.
Put it down here.
In the name of King Karen doing the reverse re-racking, I'm gonna
be your whiskey manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
Laurie, can you pick
Don't
some
that back.
bottles?
There's another one we could go. We could go for that for a split.
we have that open.
Put it back.
Where was it?
I don't know.
That was the one I had.
The Dimple Bull Springbank. I saw it, Ronnie. Let's.
Yeah, we could go for this for a split. So it's a 1954.
Wow.
Bloody hell. I think
That'd be a
Laurie
nice
should
tasting,
pick-
wouldn't it?
Let's do the lot. Let's do the lot, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Laurie should pick the drams. Laurie should pick the drams for the next
Laurie
tasting.
can pick the
I think
dram
so.
as well.
Yeah. It's
Please
so-
pick that one. So you can have that one as well.
Thank you.
That's tasty one. That's all right. That you can drink.
Blanche, Laurie. Hi, Laurie.
Hi.
How you doing?
What are you going to do?
What's the nose like, Ronnie? What's the nose like, Laurie? Laurie, what does it smell like?
What does it smell like? You tell him.
What's it smell like, Laurie?
Sweet.
Sweet, yeah. Okay, what else? Do you have any ice cream there, Laurie?
What?
Can you smell ice cream?
What?
Ice cream is no ice
Can
cream.
you
Is
smell
it?
ice cream? No.
No.
Can you smell anything else that the ice cream man might sell?
Oh, no, I'll be not touching your ice creams.
Okay, sorry,
For
Laurie.
5 to 10.
Okay.
Go on then. What's in it?
Caramel.
Caramel.
Caramel?
Just a little touch.
Come on, have a little taste. Have a good couple of tastes.
What can you smell? What can you smell?
3 or 4 or 5.
No, don't smell it. Taste it.
No, pineapples in it.
Pineapple.
Pineapple. Yeah. Laurie, haven't you got to go to school tomorrow?
There's no bloody
Yeah,
school.
we're still in lockdown in Scotland.
School.
You're talking about me.
Homeschool. Homeschool.
Homeschool in Scotland, huh?
Laurie, is your dad a good teacher?
Nah.
Okay. We like you, Laurie.
I don't teach him.
Sorry,
No,
can I
I
ask you,